Here it is, the OnePlus 60. It looks a lot like the OnePlus 6 but with a couple of significant changes. Okay, so let's talk about the screen itself. There is not a ton of changes from the 6 that was just released in the May of this year, but there are a handful of new things that are pretty significant. Let's start with the display. It's still an edge-to-edge OLED screen, but now it's even larger at 6.4 inches. The bottom chin is 1mm smaller and the notch at the top is way smaller than before. It's got this little teardrop kind of shape. If you hate notches, this is probably the one that you will be able to tolerate. But even more significant is that under the screen is a fingerprint scanner for unlocking the phone. OnePlus has removed the traditional OnePlus fingerprint scanner that was on the back of 6 and completely embedded it inside the 60 screen. Now you can use it to unlock the phone, log into apps that support fingerprint logins like your bank accounts, apps or something like that, or authenticated log data and apps. OnePlus says that it works through screen protector and through smaller scratches on the screen, and it's just as secure as the traditional style scanner. Now the company claims that this screen is the fastest in-screen scanner in any phone. But I don't really have a bunch of other phones with this feature to compare it to. But I can tell you that it's not as fast as the traditional fingerprints reader that you are probably used to. There's a little pause or wait each time that you used it because the light has to illuminate before it scans your fingerprint and then the phone unlocks. I don't think this is a huge problem. It's still fast and still works great most of time, but it is noticeable. Now if you do want a faster, more convenient but way less secure to unlock your phone, the 60 has the same face unlocking system that used the front camera and it is wicked fast. Inside the 60 has the same set of specs as before. It's a Snapdragon 845 processor, 6 or 8 gigs of RAM and up to 256 gigs of storage. What's the difference is you can't buy a 64 gigs model anymore. The base model of 60 starts at 128 gigs of storage. OnePlus has also bumped up the battery capacity up to 3700 mAh, which is say provides 20% battery life than the 6. It haven't been using the 60 long enough to test this, but it's a significantly larger battery pushing the same processor and the same screen resolution. So it's safe to assume that it was probably last longer than before. That bigger battery does change a couple of things. That was the body of the phone. It's a little thicker and a little heavier than before, and the back has more of a curve than the 6. It's actually find it to be nicer to hold than the 6. It fits my hand better and it just feels more sustainable. But this is still a big phone, and if you find big phones to be hard to use, you have a hard time with this phone. The other big thing that OnePlus changed is that is removed the headphone jack that was on the 6. Now it's just annoying here as it is on the Pixel or the iPhone or any other without a headphone jack. But OnePlus is including a little adapter in the box so you can use your 3.5mm headphone with it. You might also miss the notification LED at the top, which has been removed in pursuit of this tiny little touch drop notch. You might also miss the notification LED at the top, which has been removed in the pursuit of this little tiny trash drop notch. OnePlus still isn't offering wireless charging, which is bummer with practically every other phone has it, and it still doesn't give water resistant certification, but it does have the OnePlus extremely fast wired charging, providing you use the including charging brick and the cable that come in the box. The 60 camera is exactly as before. It's got a 16 megapixel main camera and 20 megapixel second sensor for portrait effects, plus a 16 megapixel front camera, but one has added a bunch of software tweaks and couple of new features, including a better portrait mode, better low light shots, and a new nightscape mode for nighttime landscape and cityscapes. And if you have a OnePlus 6, all of these new features come with a new software update. So look out for that. 60 is launching with OnePlus Oxygen OS, and top of Android 9 Pie. It does have a couple of new features. It has improved gesture control system and some battery memory management tweaks. So there you got a new OnePlus 6T. Just like the 3T and the 5T before, it takes the phone that OnePlus launched a few months ago, tweaks it, refines it and makes it a better overall device. It's a really good phone and it still have a really aggressive price, especially compared to the new phones from Apple and Google. Thanks guys for watching the video. It's Param Trivedi from TechFrame and don't forget to subscribe the channel.